Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Rachel Purden.
Our headlines today. Expectations are high as England bid for a place in the semi-final of the Euros for the first time in a quarter of a century.
And the manager says his team are fully refocused for the challenge of Ukraine, determined to make sure the win over Germany wasn't in vain.
And it's England's first game away from home, but fans have been told not to travel to Rome because of the pandemic.
Doctors call for measures such as face coverings to be kept in place beyond July the 19th to stop the spread of COVID.
And whilst there will be some sunshine around at times this weekend, be prepared. There's going to be some big storm clouds around. There could be some torrential rain at times too. I'll have your full forecast here on Breakfast.
Well, good morning. It's Saturday, the 3rd of July. Our top story today. Anticipation is building ahead of England's European Football Championships clash with Ukraine this evening, where a place in the semi-finals is up for grabs.
Fans have been prevented from travelling to the match in Rome amid concern at rising COVID infections here. But as our sports correspondent Natalie Perks reports, there is still a buzz in the Italian capital.
In the summer heat of Rome, tourism is getting back in the swing. Legend here says one coin in the fountain means you'll return to Rome one day. But for a lucky few England fans who live here, their wishes have already been granted.
We're lucky and we feel lucky and we can't wait to go tomorrow, we can't wait.
Friends Joe and Matt have both lived in Rome for more than 15 years and have managed to get tickets.
One of the fans that follows England, constantly, they deserve the ticket more than I do, or more than Matt does, OK? But there's nothing we can do about it. I feel for them. They can rest assured that our voices will be heard.
A bit bittersweet for me because I was supposed to fly back yesterday for my grand's 100th birthday today. But yeah, I mean, a small compensation is I get to go and see England. But yeah, happy birthday, Grandma.
And now Grealish in!
It will be a far cry from these scenes as more than 40,000 fans spurred England to victory over Germany on Tuesday.
England officially had around 2,000 tickets, but strict rules mean there was no time for fans to get into Italy and complete the 5-day quarantine. To discourage travel by any means, UEFA has now cancelled any tickets held by UK residents after a request from the Italian government. It could be rather lonely in here for England.
So fan numbers are low then, but as England arrived Friday evening, conviction was high.
The confidence is there and the belief, and I think they're looking forward to the challenge. It's actually, I think it's good to come away from Wembley now. It would have been hard to replicate the atmosphere we had the other day, 3 days later, and I think to have a different focus, different surroundings, different sort of a challenge is good for us.
Zinchenko with the cross! Ukraine have won it!
Ukraine squeaked into the quarter-finals with a last-gasp winner in extra time against Sweden. England are 20 places above them in the world rankings, but discount them at your peril.
It's a tough game. You know, after the hype of Germany, we've had a Scotland fixture as well. I think, to look at this match and dismiss it a little bit and think, well, England should win that is a dangerous thing. It's tournament football, so it's a tough game for England.
England have so far been efficient and professional, but not yet blown the doors off. This Italian job will not be easy. Natalie Perks, BBC News.
Loads of build-up this morning. We'll be joined by the former England goalkeeper David James here on Breakfast just after 8:30.
Other news now, and a group of leading doctors have urged the government to keep some targeted measures in place in England after the 19th of July to help control the spread of coronavirus.
The British Medical Association has expressed alarm at a recent surge in the number of infections, warning it could have a devastating impact on the NHS. Simon Jones has this report.
The vaccination programme continues at pace, and the government is increasingly confident that it can go ahead with its plan to end lockdown restrictions in England on the 19th of July. The rule of 6, limiting the number of people you can meet inside, would go, along with capacity limits in theatres and cinemas, a return to what the Prime Minister describes as pretty much life before COVID. And ministers are now considering allowing people who have been fully vaccinated to avoid having to quarantine after coming into contact with someone with the virus. But the British Medical Association is calling for caution, saying decisions shouldn't be based on dates rather than data.
we're seeing rocketing rises in infection rates due to the Delta variant. So it makes no sense to knowingly continue to see this rocketing of infection rates and not do something about controlling its spread. So what needs to be done is a continuation of some measures to try and prevent the escalation of spread, whilst at the same time vaccinating enough of the adult population, including younger people, so that we can achieve control of this infection.
The BMA says people should have to continue to wear masks on public transport and in shops.
Hands, face, space.
And there should be a new campaign encouraging the public to carry on practicing social distancing. A government spokesperson said the vaccine rollout is helping to keep the number of deaths and admissions to hospital low, and more details on its plans will be set out shortly. The aim to remove restrictions cautiously, but irreversibly. Simon Jones, BBC News.
British tourists who've had 2 doses of a coronavirus vaccine may be able to travel to Germany without quarantining in the foreseeable future.
That's according to Chancellor Angela Merkel, who met with Boris Johnson yesterday in what was likely to be her last official trip to the UK as German leader. Here's more from our World Affairs correspondent Caroline Hawley.
Angela, how are you?
Despite their disagreements over Brexit, this was about celebrating and strengthening the German-British relationship in a new era. High on the agenda for Boris Johnson, Germany's insistence that British travellers quarantine for 14 days, even if they're fully vaccinated. But after a working lunch of English asparagus tart and Oxfordshire beef, Angela Merkel hinted at good news for British holidaymakers.
We are seeing a rise of the Delta variant in Germany, a significant rise. And of course, we are regularly reviewing these travel restrictions. And I expect that in the foreseeable future, double vaccinated people will be able to travel without having to quarantine upon arrival.
After England's historic victory against Germany on Tuesday, Angela Merkel wished the UK well for the rest of the Euros. But she's alarmed by the number of fans being allowed at Wembley matches.
I see this with grave concern. I said this to the Prime Minister. We in Germany decided to have less people attend games in the Munich stadium. The British government obviously will make its own decision, but I'm very concerned that it's too much.
Here in the UK, we have now built up a very considerable wall of immunity against the disease by our vaccination programme.
Boris Johnson is the 5th Prime Minister Angela Merkel has dealt with. Here she was meeting Tony Blair back in 2005, when she first became Chancellor. Germany is Britain's second largest trading partner, but it's a measure of Angela Merkel's personal stature that she was granted at the end of her final visit to the UK, an audience with the Queen.
Wanting to take a picture, make history.
2 women who played such long roles on the international stage. Caroline Hawley, BBC News.
Monuments and buildings across England will be lit up in blue later to mark the founding of the NHS and the work of its staff during the pandemic. The London Eye, Liverpool's Liver building, as well as a number of vaccination centres, will be amongst the places illuminated. A service will also be held for the health service workers who lost their lives to the virus.
A new generation of robots designed to remove nuclear waste are being developed by scientists at the University of Essex. Researchers say the machines could help clear millions of tonnes of radioactive material here in the UK. At present, the job is so difficult and dangerous it could take humans 120 years to complete.
More than 100 wildfires are burning across Canada as the country continues to battle a record-breaking heatwave. Evacuation orders and alerts have been issued in a dozen communities, while military aircraft have been sent to assist those threatened by the flames. At least one town has been completely destroyed by the fires.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.